Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here's a question that I get asked a lot. What are your settings with perspective mode? Do they differ from forward mode? Yes and no. But here's what we're going to talk about. First, we need to understand what we're using perspective mode for, or what at least I use perspective mode for. A lot of people use Humminbird 360 and they love it. But as I have shown many times in my classes, I've actually had fish swim across the screen and you can see them in perspective mode and they literally swim right in front of the sweep of the Humminbird 360 and you never see the fish. I've done that in several classes. And why that's important is because I want that good live version. A lot of times when I'm out on these flats and pre-spawn or things like that, I'm looking for fish on stumps, and there are a lot of times they're swimming around and they're eating, and you want to be able to cast and make good accurate casts at them. But the reason my settings different in perspective mode is two things. When I'm out here looking, I'm not as much wanting to see the bottom. So I always turn my gain down. I turn it down about 10 percentage points. And as you know me, I love to stay in that 66 to 68 range on my gain. 68 is my favorite, of course. And when I total the perspective, I turn it to 58. Now, why does that? What does it do? It lowers the bottom brightness. And what I'm saying is the bottom will darken up. And by darkening the bottom, you will be able to see the fish, which are up off the bottom. They will pop more. These stumps, the little patches of grass and things like that, they will be amplified more because you'll have less the signal when it hits that bottom is good. It's not going to have as much sensitivity, so the bottom is going to appear darker, which will highlight the very hard return objects like stumps, fish, stick-ups and things like that, dock post. It will highlight those more, so they will stand out more against the bottom, because I'm not as much concerned about seeing the bottom as I am concerned about seeing stumps and trees and fish swimming around these objects. So let's get into it right now and let's take a look at all the settings that we have for our perspective mode. Let's go. All right, I'm going to use the simulator right here, and it's kind of the default settings after you've updated the unit or you first turn on the unit or any of those type deals. It's easier to use the simulator and go through it at all. But let's start with gain. Gain, as you know, I love to use 68 for gain, but that's in the forward position. But when I'm in the perspective mode, I always lower my gain down to say 58 to 60, in that range right there. And what that does is that darkens the bottom. And when you have, for example, stumps, logs, things like that, those will be highlighted better and show up better. And the fish also against that darker bottom. You can already see right here where the bottom is darkened. Now range, never go beyond, say, 50 to 60 feet in my range. I know some people use 70, 80, 100. I don't. I'm trying to make good, accurate cast, and I want to make and see those fish. And 50 to 60 just sets up to my eye better. It's not saying that you can't use that. I just going to let you know what I use, and that is I stay in that 50 to 60 range, and I'll even pull it down to 40 at times. Now, color scheme. A lot of great colors that we can use in forward position, but when I'm in perspective, I don't use anything but amber. I think it's the best color for seeing all the details. It's just an amazing color. And when I'm in forward, I would rather use it more than anything, but I kind of went with rusted steel because of the way it really highlights in sunshine and everything like that. Color gain, 80, just like it is in forward. No difference at all. I don't use color limit except for when I'm dealing with pollen, but I still never use it in the perspective mode. Now, trails are something that I do not use. I guess you could use it maybe throwing big glide baits and things like that, maybe to see it. But I know I've used it enough that I just don't forget. I just don't use it a whole lot. So, TVG, always low. It helps clear up that screen up close to it and things like that. Now, all these settings are, like I talked about, these are default settings. Now, we're going to go into the layout screen real quick here. The grid overlay. when I use the grid overlay, I always use the radial grid. As you can see, those beams go out at degrees. And so when I use them, it helps me to make more accurate cast. It helps me to line it up to make sure that I'm hitting what I'm aiming at. And of course, the beam icon, I don't use it at all, hardly on anything. When it's not calibrated, the beam icon can be useful because it will tell you the up-down angle of your transducer. But other than that, I do not use it. So now we're going to go into noise reject. This is the one place where I will use noise reject on high. It really smooths out your image. Now, on this particular simulator, noise reject doesn't do anything. But when you put it on high, you will notice the image gets really smooth, real milky looking, and it's really, you know, it looks great, has a great look to it. And I'll be honest with you, it's what I use a lot. Now, sonar overlay. I don't need to know the depth because I know I'm in shallow water. I know where I'm at. I don't need to know how fast I'm going. This is for when I'm targeting specific things on shallow flats, the bank, or any of those type deals. And as you know, I always love to calibrate my compass. Now the focus, that is based on, and we're in the simulator mode here, but the focus is based on an individual unit-to-unit basis. And so there's really no need for me to tell you what particular number I use in focus. You'll need to watch my focus video on that, and then that will guide you in the proper direction. But you know, as you can see here, 40 to 50 feet maximum. Okay, guys, I hope that helps you set up your perspective mode. It's a time of year where perspective mode is really fitting to start being very utilized. It's you're out there on those pre-spawn and post-spawn looking for those stumps and those fish that have moved off those moved off the bank or are moving to the bank, and they're holding on those isolated pieces of cover out off the bank. You're talking about stumps, you're talking about brush piles, just some old pylons, rocks, or anything like that. And this is where perspective mode really shines. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have any questions, let me know. I've got baseball season has been kicking my butt. We're about to get that started, so that's settle down very soon, and we're going to get back to doing a bunch of the videos. But guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Ring the bell. And there is only one Garmin guru. I don't even like people using it. How you gonna call somebody else the Garmin guru? I coined the phrase. I made up the phrase. Ain't no other Garmin guru, baby. He's right here. That's right.